He says, "You've been gone." He says, "Were you speaking with the Blessed Mother?" I said, "Yeah, I think I was." He goes, "I could tell." And he says, "You know, the look on your face." And apparently I just had tears just coming down the whole time. And this whole family, Archbishop Leibold's nephew's family, is there. For those who don't know, Archbishop Paul Leibold in Cincinnati was a spiritual director for Sister Millie, who had the apparitions here. And he's the one that first gave the imprimaturs to the prayers and things like this, but he died suddenly of a brain aneurysm in 1972. Had he not died, this would have probably all been a done deal at that time. But now it's been picked up again recently and championed by Archbishop Burke, who's now the Supreme Court of the Vatican,
Right.
who is now one of our biggest champions. And we have to get through a couple of legal hurdles with the trademarks and copyrights right now to make sure, because the woman who was living with Sister Millie at the time she died is trying to say that she owns everything to do with Our Lady of America, copyrights and trademarks. And I said, well, Lourdes isn't copywritten, Fatima isn't copywritten. How can you copyright and trademark our Blessed Mother? Yeah, but she seems intent on trying to hold the devotion hostage for the sake of cash, and thinking that she's the only one that can control it when it's the bishops that need to. So I think we've got the legal stuff is coming to a head, and hopefully it'll be over with soon. But then when that's all done, then the bishops will be back on board, and I think we have a lot of quiet supporters out there right now. But, and then maybe we'll have this opportunity out here to this big outdoor celebration type of thing, and people will come from all over. But it was pretty eventful. And then this family, the Leibolds, I was asking them later on, I asked Paul, I said, why did you guys even come here today? I said, I know your uncle was the spiritual director. I said, but why here? He says, I don't know. He says, earlier today we were doing a family project for the neighbors. He said her outdoor grotto had been vandalized by the neighbor kids. They came and they smashed up her bathtub in her grotto. They broke her, so we got her new bathtub and cut it in half and buried that and put the new statue in there. So that's what we were doing this morning, is we were redoing her grotto outside. And we got talking about Our Lady of America, and they all wanted to come. So what I was seeing was what they were doing earlier, and they were inspired to come. So it's like that was what they were doing, and here's where they ended up. And
what was the part of the woman coming in and crying? Who was that?
She was just one of the party, and they were looking to see if anyone was here. They couldn't get in. We had all the doors locked. I'm back in the kitchen.
She was a real person.
She was a real person.
The others weren't.
No, she was a real person, just like him. She was scouting around trying to find somebody here, because they were out front and they had just driven 4 hours aimlessly to get here. They didn't know where Rome. They thought Rome City was just a couple hours away from Cincinnati, and they almost turned around 4 or 5 times, But the kids said no, let's go. They ended up getting here, and then they weren't here much more than 2 hours, and the one kid got sick, and they had to hightail it back to Cincinnati again. The 10-year-old was really sick. This kid was so inspiring. He was just a really sick kid. And they had to hightail him back to Cincinnati that night. But the kid's doing better now, and I don't hear anything back from that particular family. But Paul Leibold, the nephew, had written his own account of what happened that day. And he saw the blue butterfly up on the hill, and kind of neat stuff going on. But while he was seeing that was when I was having my little consult.
So you just heard a voice in your face?
I was up above. I could out of the corner of my eye, I never saw her face, but I could feel this blue and white. Oh, and what she also showed me there was, she says, you deserve some answers, and she let me ask questions. But she says, she did say, and this was really, really important. She says, millions of souls are at stake. Okay, so no pressure again. Okay. But it's not my pressure, it's everybody's pressure, okay? But I have to respond with knowledge now, and knowing, so that's my responsibility now. But anyway, she says, I want to show you what's at stake. And so she says, gaze into everything I could see that just turned this really vibrant green. and it's almost like a plasma green. You know, it's like, yeah, you ever see these things on like Star Trek when they're looking at this like this glowing,
Yeah.
moving, massive, whatever. It wasn't a color; it was like a life form. Okay, it's this beautiful green just bubbling over. Then out of that came this ball of blue light, just grew, you know, which took over the field of green. It was this ball of just magnificent blue light, and I call it Our Lady's blue. And then out of that blue light, then came this piercing white light that I couldn't take the whole thing. I could only just look at a little bit of it. You know, if I'd had everything, it'd been too overwhelming, and I'd never come back. But she says, and this white light just took over, like everything you could ever want or need was contained in that white light. You know, it was the greatest sense of comfort, the greatest sense of peace, every bit of sustenance you needed bodily, for your soul, all knowledge. It just seemed like everything was complete inside this light. And I'm in there and I'm dwelling in it, and I'm thinking to myself on another level, I said, if I'm dead, this is okay.
Right.
You know, because I could stay here forever. You know, 'cause this was great. And she says, this is heaven's light. This is what's at stake. This is what you're fighting for. And she says, every time things get tough, remember what I'm showing you. This is what's at stake. And I don't know how many times when things just got so tight, so tough. I mean, if I, you know, be down in the basement of one of these tunnels down here, on my back in a cramped space, trying to get my body into space, you know, that tall or whatever, and I'm claustrophobic. I mean, don't even ask me to go down in a cave. But I've been down these tunnels and wiggling back to try to go fix pipes. And, you know, it's just, I'm fighting this terrific fear, paralyzing fear, to go into these places. And you get down there and you got a frozen nut, you know, or a valve you can't turn or something like that. And I got to get this thing cracked open. And, you know, I just think, you know, heaven's light, you know, is there. And I just came upon a reason. I said, St. Joseph, he was a worker. He knew how to do stuff. St. Joseph, fix this. You know, help me out. And I tell you, I've been down there for like 3 hours trying to fix this thing. I take a moment, pray, St. Joseph, please help me. You know, be my hands, do the work. Put the wrench back up on there. You know, it would, you know, 3 hours earlier, that'd have been fine. You know, but you got to know which doors to knock on, which ones to ask, and realize that I couldn't do it. I needed help. But all these times when things got difficult, or you just want to sit there and just cry because you just think like you just made a mess of things, you just got to think about heaven's light and what's at stake. And it gives you the strength and energy to go back on, and all of a sudden you get the clarity and you get these beautiful inspirations, and you know the saints come to help you. And that's just been my situation. I don't know how many times St. Joseph has helped me do stuff around here. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, if it wasn't for the internet, then being able to look stuff up, I mean, I'd be in a real mess. But you know, it's just all these things add up, and I know it's disjointed, you know, but in some way, if you keep coming back, the stories all end up making sense.
Right.
But any other questions? I know I'm running way over time.
Are you over time?
I don't know, but
It's 3:35.
oh, I don't know. It's your
I
time,
like
not
the
mine.
story about the blind lady that showed up.
Oh, the blind lady? Yeah, the blind visionary? Well, we like calling her the blind visionary because, you know, I said, you know, heaven has a sense of humor, and this is just a case in point why it is. And everything that happened with this woman was kind of an oxymoron, you know. And that means like, it sounds like one thing, but it's really the exact opposite. Okay, you know what an oxymoron is?
Yep. Yeah.
The blind visionary. Okay, she was blind, but she could see. Okay, so there was a lot of these things going on. Well, anyway, I was getting hammered from all over the diocese, all over the country, and from every perspective. People telling me what I could or couldn't do here because they all said it's holy ground, but you can't do that because that'll defile it, or you can't do that because people won't show up, or you can't do this because and it's like, well, here, if you're so smart about this, you come and do it. But oh no, we're not doing that. We're just telling you what to do. You know, but I was getting all this pressure was coming on to me, and everyone's telling me what I could and couldn't do. So I just finally every Father Abel was saying daily mass here, so I go earlier, I'd stay late, and we'd pray together, asking for clarity. I said, please, Lord, send somebody that we will know that you sent to tell me what it is you wanted to do. And this is after I'd had my talk with the Blessed Mother.